Now that I finished crying 15 times, I think it's time for me to talk about Avengers. Welcome back, guys. This is going to be a spoiler-filled video, so if you guys haven't checked up on my Instagram account, I kind of did like a 1-minute spoiler-free review, so go to that and click it and check out what I had to say, which is basically, it was awesome, it was great, it was movie magic, and I freaking loved it from beginning to end. I'm actually going to go watch it again, but before that, I wanted to talk to you guys to let you know what I thought about the film, and basically, a little recap. So when the movie first starts off, we are shown a scene with Hawkeye and his family. He's teaching his daughter how to shoot an arrow, and basically this takes place at the moment that Thanos snaps his finger. Hawkeye goes and gets an arrow. He tells her to go get something. He turns around and his family is wiped out. They're basically gone, turned into dust. He doesn't know what's going on. At the same time, you can tell that he's been under house arrest. That's why he hasn't been able to help the Avengers. You know, it kind of gives us that clarification that like, yeah, he cannot help you at this time. That kind of takes him down a dark path and turns into Ronin, which has been basically massacring all the gangs from like Mexico and I think it was Japan or China, I cannot remember, but basically he's bad. We jump ahead 20 days and we are introduced to Tony and Nebula. They're on the spaceship, and this is where kind of like basically everything that happens within the first hour I think is in the trailer, which is pretty good because they kind of tricked me and I didn't know that the trailer was basically the first act, which was honestly awesome. The first act, I was not expecting it to go the way that it did. So Tony basically does what he does in the trailer. He taps on his helmet and starts a recording for Pepper Potts. He, you know, basically tells her, you know, like, hey, you know, I'm sorry, I said no more surprises, but this is basically it. And they did a pretty good job in showing Tony like, oh man, malnourished, you know, he's very skinny, he looks very ill. I like how they did that. I'm not sure how they did it, if Robert Downey Jr. actually starved himself for a couple of days so he can look like that in screen. But Nebula and Tony bring their A game to this movie because their acting was phenomenal and the emotions through the screen were very impactful, especially that opening scene with Hawkeye and his daughter. That was a really good way to start saying like, hey, this movie is gonna start off kind of sad. But luckily for Tony and Nebula, they get saved by Captain Marvel. They kind of explain, you know, where she has been this whole time once Tony and them go back to Earth. You know, they're kind of happy that Tony's back, but at the same time, Tony is like, yo, where the hell have you been, Captain America? Like, you know, if they had clashed in Civil War, then maybe none of this would have happened. They wouldn't have lost. There are a couple of things with the movie itself that I feel like were convenient, but they kind of get away with it just because like there's so many things in previous movies that I'm like, okay, they got away with that. But in this movie, there's so much going on, so much character building that it kind of just goes over my head. So once they're back together, you know, you can see that Tony's very, very sad and feeling guilty about losing Spider-Man. Thor is a corner pissed off because he didn't go for the head. They asked Captain Marvel where she's been. She's basically explaining that, you know, there are other planets out there that needed saving and saying that like, you know, they're not lucky like Earth. You know, they had the Avengers, they did not, which makes sense. Now here's the crazy part. You know, Tony snaps at Captain America. You know, he's very ill. He like collapses, so they kind of sedate him so he can go away. And, you know, at this point, they're like, yo, where is Thanos so we can go get the stones, snap everybody back, which is basically their plan. And it sucks because out of nowhere, they get this signal, basically a super strong signal that resembles that of Earth whenever Thanos snapped his finger. So they're like, yo, that's where Thanos is. So they literally get on a ship, and this is literally within the first hour. So I'm like, oh, what? Like they're already gonna go find Thanos. They get to this planet, and crazily enough, he's there on the planet alone, like become basically a farmer by himself, just enjoying life, I would say. But Captain Marvel scopes the whole planet like super quick, finds that Thanos is all alone on this planet. So they're like, well, fuck, let's take him on now. And I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. So you could get a scene where Thanos is like half burnt, kind of reminding you of, you know, the last time he used the snap, he got very damaged on that side of his body. So Captain Marvel comes in flying, like just to attack him. Like they beat the shit out of him, they pin him down, and they're like, where are the stones? And he basically says, yo, I destroyed the stones. And they're like, impossible, you cannot destroy the stones. But he basically used the stones to destroy the stones. Not sure how that works, but from that he was not able to defend himself because he was pretty fucked up from the entire damage that was done to his body. So they're really pissed because now there's no stones and they really can't do anything about it. And you're just like, okay. Like I kept like the whole time I was like, okay, it's been an hour, there's no way they're gonna kill off Thanos. And next thing you know, Thor just freaking whacks his head off. This time he legit went for the head, and that was it for Thanos. Yeah, I was like, holy crap, this this just happened. So now, as soon as this ends, we get another time jump, but not days. This time we jump 5 years. So 5 years have passed, and you kind of just see all the Avengers kind of coping with the loss. You can see the like cities desolated. There's like nobody around. It looks very sad. You see Black Widow talking to some of the Avengers, kind of like looking for clues on what to do. I love Scarlett Johansson in this scene because she is very broken about what happened, especially knowing that Ronan right now, or Hawkeye, is out there killing people, just basically going down a dark path. And her acting in this scene is very, very good. Like, she's very emotionless. And if you guys see that scene where she's crying, basically that was me towards the end of the movie. Captain Marvel actually wasn't in the film as much as I thought she was, because she kind of like goes off to other planets to just kind of figure out what's going on. So I'm okay with that, because if you guys haven't seen my review for Captain Marvel, I was not a big fan of hers. But yeah, I like how they used her because she's very overpowering. So I'm happy that they used her the way that she did, only temporarily. But everything comes back to life whenever Ant-Man comes out of the quantum realm, which is pretty cool because Mouse literally hits a button and he comes out and he's like, what the hell? And he literally explains that he was only in there for 5 hours, but in our reality, that's 5 years. So that was pretty interesting. I wish they would have spent maybe a little less time with him, like trying to figure out what's going on, and just go straight to his daughter, because I feel like that just played on for so long. That's probably one of my negatives about the film, I would say, but hey, that's just me. But anyway, he gets back to the Avengers, tells them like, yeah, I was in there, like what the hell happened, like everybody's gone. And then he gets this light bulb in his head saying like, what if we can manipulate time? I was in there for so long. So of course they go out and look for Tony, and this is one of the scenes where I was like, oh my god, yes, finally Tony has gotten what he wanted. He got married. Not only that, he also had a kid who is, I guess, 5 years old now, for something, and it was very cute. I like the relationship that he has with his own daughter, and it was great. Like, it was a very emotional scene. I like how that played out. But of course, Captain America, Black Widow, Ant-Man, they all show up to Tony's house and they're like, yo, we found a way to do it. It's time travel, but we have to do it. And he's like, no, fuck that. I basically got everything. I'm not trying to risk it all over again. So he basically blows off their plans, and Ant-Man's like, okay, well, what the hell do we do now? And this is where we get introduced to Professor Hulk, because they're like, we need a bigger brain, and who has a bigger brain more than average? And that's Professor Hulk. They meet him at some diner, which is hilarious. And seeing Hulk wearing clothes, I thought that was hilarious. Taking selfies with kids, making fun of Ant-Man and all that stuff. So I really liked it. I really like how they introduced the Hulk. The only thing that I didn't like was that we didn't get to see that transformation, because obviously they did the whole time jump. To me, I wish that would have been a great moment for me. But we do get to see a whole lot of Hulk in this one. It was like Hulk and Banner, so you get like a goofy ass Hulk, I would say. You don't see a lot of smashing, but you do get a lot of green in this movie. Now, who goes through an even funnier transformation, or I guess goofier, I would say, is Thor, because they're basically going out to get everybody back on the team. Goes out to the new Asgard, a village, I would say, and they find Thor with a fucking beer belly. He's super thick. He has this a lot of hair and a nasty ass beard. He just looks like the Big Lebowski, like, except drunker, fatter, and thicker. And I don't know how you're gonna take that, but I like that. I just didn't even realize that they were gonna keep him like that the entire movie. And this is where we get into the actual plot of the movie, because the whole time I thought this was gonna be them trying to find Thanos and get the stones, but they already killed him. But now this whole time jump thing and time traveling is like, yeah, we gotta go back and get every single stone from a different time period, which is pretty cool, because there's a couple of scenes where Hulk is testing out time traveling with Ant-Man, and they kind of age him. He becomes a baby, an old man, and all this stuff. And of course, Iron Man figures it out. He has a nice little touching moment with his daughter, and he figures shit out. And now he's joining the team, of course, like everybody predicted. So now we travel to different time zones, and it is pretty epic. I really like that. That does a lot of fan service for the fans. Obviously, I love the Marvel movies. I wouldn't say all of them, but obviously I've been invested in watching these films for a very long time. So seeing them go back to New York to Loki's attack was awesome. You watch a lot of the scenes. Hulk is seeing Hulk smash things, and he's like, I guess I gotta freaking be angry. And he's kind of just like or something like that. But it was good. Captain America goes back to the elevator scene where he's surrounded by men of Hydra, and he kind of uses the line of like, Hell Hydra. And that was epic, because I was like, oh my god, this is straight out of the comics. Like, this is pretty cool. Even though he's not really involved in Hydra, but he does that to get one of the stones. And seeing him fight himself was pretty cool. They even throw in that joke about, that being Captain America's ass, or America's ass. So that they had a lot of great moments while they were trying to get all these stones. Now, they obviously run into a problem when Tony loses the Tesseract. Loki actually grabs it and opens up a portal and dips. So I don't know what that does to the timeline, because now he's actually alive. So does that mean he's actually alive in a different timeline? Anyway, they figure figure out that, you know, let's go further back to the time where Tony's father was alive and they had the Tesseract. And this was around the time where having the super soldier program that eventually creates Captain America. Now that was cool because we got a cool moment with Tony Stark and his actual father Howard. And I feel like this goes back to Iron Man 1 where we see that video of his dad explaining the Stark legacy, which was really nice. They have a nice little moment. We get introduced to Jarvis, his chauffeur, which is nice. Now well, at least I didn't know, but now I know where Jarvis came from. Eventually they all get it. The main issue here is now Nebula, because Nebula's I don't even know what to call it, like a Bluetooth connection somehow gets intertwined with the other Nebula from that time era, and Thanos is like, well, fucking play the memories back, let's see what happens. And basically he finds out that, yeah, he won in the future, so he's like, oh shit, I won. Hell yeah. So he basically allows them to escape with the Infinity Stone, or I guess one of the stones. And now his goal is to go back to Earth and collect his already built gauntlet, because he already knows that in the future he's gonna win. But before that, we have the Soul Stone issue, because Hawkeye and Black Widow both go there. And it's messed up because you kind of know that one of them has to sacrifice themselves. You just kind of don't know who. So they kind of get there and they're like, well, shit, who's gonna do it? And honestly, the whole movie itself kind of built it up to where Hawkeye seemed like the person that was going to go over. You know, the whole thing with family, he's lost everyone, so, you know, making that ultimate sacrifice for his family, you know, that would have been great. This is where I feel like everybody started sniffling, because this is a crazy scene, because surprisingly both of them went, two people that actually care about each other. So literally one of them was going to go over the edge, and a whole battle just goes out between them both, which is crazy, because I've never seen two people trying to sacrifice themselves over another. And Hawkeye blasts her with some arrows, you know, she's like shocking him, and eventually Hawkeye beats her to it, jumps over, and Black Widow also jumps over, and he catches her with one of her arrows. He can't support her weight, there's no way they can survive this, so Black Widow's like, just let me go, and Black Widow dies, and I was like, what? So like, I cannot. It was like literally just like Gamora dying, except Gamora's for me wasn't that emotional because I was more attached to Scarlett Johansson's character. So seeing her die really sucked. Basically, that's the only way they could get the Soul Stone, and now Clint has an even bigger reason for coming out successful and, you know, defeating Thanos, or they don't even know Thanos is coming. So eventually they get back to Earth, they get all the stones, they're all very happy, and, you know, at this point they're like, okay, well now Iron Man creates a freaking gauntlet somehow, not sure how, but he does, which that kind of didn't make sense to me. Like, how does he out of nowhere have the technology to like control like, he has no freaking star to create it? Like, I was a little confused about that, but I'm letting it slide because obviously they're trying to cram in a shit ton of stuff into this 3-hour mark. Eventually they decide that, you know, the only person that can take the hit from snapping his fingers is Hulk. So Hulk is like, snap your fingers, and that's it. The Hulk puts it on, you know, it's like frying up his whole body, and that's it. Like, you know, Ant-Man walks outside and he's like, guys, sees a freaking ship, Thanos' ship. Somehow Nebula kept the portal open, not sure how that works, but I don't know, where you see missiles shooting into the Avengers headquarters. And honestly, I thought Ant-Man died because one of them looks like it went straight to him, and I mean, it just obliterates the freaking headquarters. Like, I mean, it was destroyed. Like, I was like, holy crap, that's it. Everybody dies. Like, something else has to happen now. So I was really confused. I was not ready to see everybody die just like that. But up to this point, everything has been built so well. Like, a lot of character building was done, and I enjoyed every single part of it because I was not expecting that. I mean, it was a 3-hour runtime, so I kind of expected it. I wouldn't say it was like slow or anything like that. I mean, there are parts where I'm like, okay, maybe that could have been cut short a little bit, but no, everything was done on purpose. And, you know, I really enjoyed the fact that everybody kind of gets their moment. Captain America definitely gets a lot more screen time, that's for sure. But anyway, we get back. Thanos arrives on Earth, past Thanos, I guess you would call it. At this point, he doesn't know who the hell they are, but he just knows that they have the gauntlet, and he's like, it's mine, I'm gonna take it from you guys, and I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. But the whole time, evil Nebula is there, and she's trying to get the gauntlet for him. Gamora, or evil Gamora, but turns good too easily for me. And now the whole movie has been leading up to this now, because we've time traveled, we got the stones, we snapped our fingers already, so everybody's already back. But the movie does such a good job in making you forget that everybody's back, because I don't know, like, as soon as it's done, Thanos is there to collect his shit. So it's like, you think it's only like 5 of them against Thanos' entire army, but that's not the case. So before I get into that, one one of my favorite scenes of the movie is where Thor is fighting Thanos, and Thanos is a fucking beast. Like, I mean, he is strong as shit, powerful. I mean, it's taking Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man to take him down. And right when Thanos is about to kill Thor, all you see is the hammer fly past Thanos, and guess who grabs it? Captain America. Dude, that moment right there was freaking epic. And I love what Thor says. He's like, I knew you could do it. That to me was an epic scene. So seeing Captain America hold the fucking hammer and half of his shield, because it's pretty much gone, was awesome. Seeing that was an epic moment. Like, I mean, as a fan, I was like freaking fangirling so hard. Of course, Thanos is like, okay, well shit, if you're not gonna give it up that easy, I'm gonna fucking destroy this planet. Like, he's like, I'm inevitable. So he brings everybody, I mean, like everybody. And out of nowhere, you see like Doctor Strange, like little like hole thing open up, and out of nowhere everybody that was gone from Infinity War comes back. So that was so exciting to see. I mean, it was such a amazing battle scene, because I mean, it's just all the Avengers that you've seen in the past 12 years against this one guy, which is amazing. And you even get Pepper Potts in an Iron Man suit, which was so cool. But of course, we get to one of the heartbreaking moments of the movie. I mean, I know I'm skipping around, but like everybody has a great scene in this battle. Like, I mean, I feel like everybody that was on screen had a great moment. Spider-Man has his good moments. Valkyrie, Thor, I mean, I don't know. I can't name everybody right now off the top of my head, but they do. But we get to the whole thing where Doctor Strange is there, and then he's, you know, this whole time is like, Iron Man asks him like, hey, so how do we win this thing? He's like, well, if I tell you, no, it might not happen. So when he said that, I was like, fuck, something's gonna happen and I'm not gonna like it. And basically, we get to the point where Thanos is fighting everybody for the gauntlet. You know, like the gauntlet's like being thrown around everywhere, but eventually Thanos gets his hand on it. He tries to snap his finger, and Captain Marvel has arrived. She's like battling him, and she's very powerful because he like headbutts her, and she's like, that tickled. But eventually he just like fucking like swats her off. As soon as he's gonna like snap his fingers again, Iron Man flies over there, like does a switcheroo somehow into his own gauntlet. And one of the most remarkable quotes of this goes back to Iron Man 1, where he's like, I am Iron Man. Boom. And knowing what we've known throughout the entire film, that, you know, just snapping your fingers fucks up your entire half of the body, basically leads to Iron Man's death. Oh man, that was heartbreaking. I think the moment that really got me was that when Pepper Potts says, you can rest now, Tony. And I was like, fuck. Like, I mean, the whole time, you know, Tony has been battling with this whole thing from New York, and now it's like, you know, this is it. Like, this is the moment. So seeing Tony Stark, Iron Man, die on film was one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in a superhero movie in a long time, or in film itself, because I've been so attached to his character like since his first movie. So seeing him go was such an emotional ride for me at the movies, and watching it again, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, so I gotta take my tissue box this time. So they even have a funeral for him. You know, it was great. It was a great send-off for this character. So I mean, even though he dies, I think they did an amazing job in the way that they sent him off. And now for Captain America, I honestly thought Captain America was gonna die, but that's not the case. So at the very end of the film, whenever he is supposed to go return all the stones to the previous time periods, he goes, I don't know how this works, so this is maybe one of my biggest questions, but he goes, Hulk is like, all right, I'm gonna count to 5 and he should be back. But he's not. He's like, okay, he's not coming back. And then, you know, they turn around and Sam's like, or Bucky's like, hey, and there's an old man sitting there, and it's Captain America. Captain America decided to stay in his time period and actually live a life like Tony said. The movie ends up ending with Captain America getting that final dance, which was very touching. I really like that. You know, we kind of get Tony's ending and Captain America's ending, which basically they kind of both started, you know, the whole thing with Civil War and everything. I really love that. Captain America passes his shield over to Falcon, so that was nice seeing. I kind of wanted Bucky to get it, but I also appreciate that Falcon gets it, so that'd be awesome if we get like a black Captain America. I want to see how that works out. It was great. Captain America's like time travel thing, I don't know how that even works, to be honest. Like, I mean, they were explaining so many different ways of time traveling, like referencing movies like Back to the Future and all that stuff. So that's up to the viewer, obviously. Like, I feel like everybody's gonna have their different take on it, but I think it was well done, and I really enjoy that. But yeah, basically I just talked about the entire movie, so this is not really a review, it's more of a recap. Let me know what you guys thought about Avengers Endgame in the comments. But guys, if you guys have any more questions, leave them in the comments, or if I missed anything, also leave it in the comments, because I'm pretty sure you did. Follow me on Twitter at fmo1126 and on my Instagram channel, so make sure you guys go there, leave comments. I'm posting there non-stop. I might do a review on Battle of Winterfell, so make sure you look out for that. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and as always guys, stay tuned.